Joining me now, Republican Congressman Mike Lawler of New York. Congressman, thank you for being here. You heard Speaker McCarthy just a few moments ago saying that the House will consider that conservative stopgap bill, even though it's not clear necessarily tonight that there are the votes to pass it. I mean, do you believe that the votes are there, or is it clear to you what the strategy is exactly tonight?
Well, we're going to work like heck to pass it. I mean, I've been very clear from the start that I will not support a government shutdown, that we need to do everything we can to avoid one. Nobody wins in a government shutdown. And in fact, the American people are going to be the ones that get hurt. At the end of the day, I fundamentally agree with our conference that we need to cut spending. Joe Biden increased spending by over $5 trillion in new spending in his first 2 years. That's unsustainable. And our national debt has now crossed $33 trillion. So we absolutely need to rein in spending. We need to go through the single subject appropriations bills. We all agreed to that at the beginning of the year. So this isn't some bright idea that Matt Gaetz came up with. This was something we all agreed to. But the bottom line is we're not going to pass them by September 30th, all 12 of them. The Senate is not going to pass them all by September 30th and get conferenced and agreed upon and passed again and signed into law. And so we need to continue to fund the government. 2 weeks ago, the Speaker came forth with a proposal that would reduce spending by 8% in the 30-day continuing resolution, as well as enact most of the provisions of H.R. 2 to deal with our border crisis.
Yeah, for 30
days. Unfortunately, folks like Matt Gaetz chose to oppose that for some ridiculous reason and came up with this idea that somehow he knows we're going to get 4 bills passed. These 4 bills that just got passed in the rule tonight are the same 4 bills that the Speaker proposed bringing to the floor weeks ago.
Yeah, I mean, and there's been multiple failed attempts, but you say you're going to work like heck to get it passed on Friday, but if McCarthy can't lose more than 4 votes. There's already 4 hardliners saying they will not pass that, no matter how much money for the border is in it or whatever. So what is the plan on Friday night when that fails?
Look, if that fails, obviously the only way forward is with a bipartisan CR. Any final continuing resolution would, of course, be bipartisan because the Democrats control the Senate. The president is a Democrat. He's going to need to sign off on it. But obviously, when you're trying to pass something through the House, you want to work as a conference. The American people elected a House Republican majority to serve as a check and balance and to be able to govern.
Yeah.
And so some of my colleagues have, frankly, been stuck on stupid and refused to do what we were elected to do against the vast majority of the conference who have been working to avoid a shutdown.
Your colleagues, those Republicans, were on the House floor tonight. They were blaming Democrats and the president, saying that they'll be responsible if there's a government shutdown. This is what some of them were saying.
Let's be very clear. If there is a shutdown on Saturday, it is because President Biden, Chuck Schumer, my Democratic colleagues would prefer to shut down the government of the United States than shut down the border of the United States.
But Congressman, that is not what's happening here. You know as well as I do.
Well, listen, we haven't passed a continuing resolution through the House to keep the government funded. And, you know, obviously there's been significant infighting between House Republicans over this. There is no question this administration has failed miserably to secure our border. 6 million migrants have crossed through, many of them illegally, since Joe Biden took office. We have a crisis, and it's impacting my home state of New York. There's no question about that. Chuck Schumer has done absolutely nothing. The Speaker is correct when he says that Chuck Schumer and the Senate Democrats have not done anything on spending or the border. On spending or the border. These are critical issues. It's not just about spending. And so we as Republicans have a responsibility to put forth a plan. We need to pass it. In the absence of passing it, my colleagues' comments don't ring true. We need to pass a continuing resolution that would keep the government funded and have border security. And if Chuck Schumer refuses to secure the border, then of course that is correct. But we have to pass something first.
You just talked about passing something potentially with Democrats. I mean, you've said that you would sign a discharge petition, which could basically force the speaker to bring something for a vote. We've heard from some of those on the far right saying that they will campaign against you and other New York Republicans who are in more moderate areas if you choose to do that. What's your response to your fellow colleagues who are threatening that?
Bring it. I mean, give me a break. Look, I'm in a district that Joe Biden won by 10 points. There's 70,000 more Democrats than Republicans. I was elected to be an adult, to be serious, to be sober, and to govern. And to my colleagues that have put their own personal, views and, position ahead of the conference, go right ahead. You want to come at me? I'll take that fight any day.
Congressman Mike Lawler, we will see what the rest of your week looks like on Capitol Hill. Thank you for taking the time to join us tonight.